Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
Ben stood on the observation deck of the spaceship, gazing out at the breathtaking vista of the alien world. The sky was a swirling mosaic of colors, bold purples, fiery oranges, and deep emeralds intertwining in a surreal display. It was beauty beyond human comprehension, but Ben felt a twinge of loneliness creeping in. As he prepared for his historical mission, the weight of being the first human to make contact with an alien species hung heavily on his shoulders. "Earth to Ben," came the playful voice of his pilot, Lisa, breaking him from his reverie. "You ready for this?" Ben turned and forced a smile. "Yeah, just taking it all in. I guess I didn't think it would feel so surreal." Lisa chuckled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Just wait until you see them. The way they move, the way they're built, and man, their culture. This is going to change everything for humanity." He nodded but felt a wave of apprehension wash over him. The stories he had read about first contact were riddled with warnings and misunderstandings. What if they didn't welcome him? What if they reacted violently? The unknown loomed ahead. But one thing was for sure. This was humanity's chance to establish a connection with the cosmos. As they approached the landing site, the ship descended into a valley surrounded by multicolored flora unlike anything on Earth. Towering structures formed like organic sculptures rose in the distance, hinting at intricate civilizations hidden within. Ben's heart raced, both in fear and anticipation. "Touchdown in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Gliese Prime," Lisa announced as the ship settled. Ben took a deep breath, pushing down his anxiety as he grabbed his gear. "Let's do this." The hatch opened, and Ben stepped outside, his boots crunching on the alien soil. Immediately, an overwhelming scent of sweet nectar filled the air, and vibrant lushness surrounded him. It was an intoxicating environment that thrived with life, yet an underlying tension simmered with the unknown. "Remember," Lisa cautioned, "we're here to build relationships. Approach with respect." Just as Ben was about to reply, dozens of shadows moved toward them. His pulse quickened as a group of 8-foot-tall aliens emerged from the forest, their life forms shimmering in the sunlight. The sight was simultaneously awe-inspiring and terrifying. They were delicate yet strong, with long limbs and skin that glistened like gemstones. Their eyes, large and expressive, seemed to pierce through Ben, reading his very soul. One in particular drew his attention. She stepped forward, her gaze locking onto his. Her iridescent skin glowed with a mix of soft blues and purples, contrasting with the green of the plants around her. Ben's throat dried as he took in her otherworldly beauty, long silvery hair cascading down her back and a posture that combined elegance with fierce confidence. "I am Rosie," she spoke, her voice melodious and deep, resonating within him. "I'm Ben," he stammered, trying to find his voice amidst an impending sense of loss as his humanity collided with hers. A moment of silence hung in the air, thick with unsaid words. Ben felt a magnetic pull towards her, as if their very beings were threading together. The tension crackled in the air, laced with the thrill of discovery. Did she feel it too? "Human," Rosie continued, tilting her head slightly. "You are different from us. Your emotions, your essence. I sense a curiosity within you. Does your body crave my touch as much as I crave yours?" In that instant, a warm flood of longing washed over Ben as he processed her words. His body reacted instinctively, a mixture of intrigue and desire swirling within him. He couldn't deny it. There was an undeniable connection forming, one that transcended the barriers between species. As Rosie stepped closer, Ben's heart raced. This was just the beginning of their journey into each other's worlds, hearts, and desires. The air buzzed with an electric tension as Ben stood face to face with Rosie. Her vibrant eyes sparkled with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. Every instinct urged him to reassure her, but he felt lost in the vastness of their differences. "Come," Rosie beckoned softly, extending a slender hand towards him. "I will show you our ways." With trepidation mingled with excitement, Ben took her hand. The moment their skin touched, A warm energy surged through him, igniting a sense of connection he'd never felt before. Rosie led him towards a clearing, the vivid flora dancing in the breeze, their colors more alive than anything he'd seen on Earth. "We celebrate harmony in our culture," Rosie explained as they walked. "Each touch, each bond, strengthens our community. It is a dance of intimacy and trust." Ben listened intently, trying to absorb every detail of her world. "What does that mean for us?" he asked, genuine curiosity coloring his tone. "How do we bridge our worlds?" Rosie paused, her gaze piercing and earnest. "To understand each other, to touch each other's hearts, to explore desire without fear. But first, you must learn." As they reached the clearing, Ben marveled at the sight before him. Bright flowers, pulsating with light, surrounded a shimmering pool that seemed to beckon them. "What is this place?" he asked, feeling awed by the beauty surrounding him. "This is the Lagoon of Light," Rosie replied, her voice filled with reverence. "It is said that those who enter leave behind their burdens and discover their true desires." Without hesitation, she knelt at the water's edge and dipped her fingers into the luminous surface, sending ripples across the water. The pool seemed to react, glowing brighter, and Ben felt drawn to join her. Tentatively, he knelt beside her, their shoulders brushing, sending an intoxicating warmth racing through his body. As he submerged his hand into the liquid, it enveloped him with a comforting glow, infusing him with emotions he had buried deep within: fear, longing, and an urge to connect. "Our desires are intertwined," Rosie said, looking straight into Ben's eyes. "Feel and let go." With her encouragement, Ben closed his eyes, allowing the water's energy to flow through him. Images flooded his mind, memories of loneliness, dreams unfulfilled, and now the undeniable attraction he felt towards Rosie. With each wave of warmth, he allowed himself to embrace the vulnerability he often shied away from. When he opened his eyes again, he found Rosie staring at him, her expression a mix of wonder and understanding. "You felt it, didn't you?" she asked softly. He nodded, breathless. "It's like nothing I've ever experienced." "Then let us explore further," she suggested, her voice laced with excitement. "Feelings must be shared to truly understand, to ignite passion." They shifted closer, and Ben felt every heartbeat resonate. Rosie's breath was warm against his skin, heightening his senses as she spoke of her culture's views on intimacy. To touch another is to invite them into your essence, to cherish and nourish the bond between souls. Ben's heart raced. "So, when we touch, it means something deeper?" "Yes," Rosie replied, leaning in ever so slightly. "Let me show you." And just like that, before he knew it, Rosie had closed the distance. Her fingertips grazed his arm, an electric thrill skimming across his skin. "Our touch awakens feelings. Do you crave it, Ben?" His breath caught in his throat, his body responding instinctively as warmth pooled within him. "I do," he confessed, the truth spilling from his lips as desire began to envelop him. Slowly, Rosie leaned closer, her vibrant energy contrasting with the coolness of the lagoon. Ben's heart thundered in anticipation, his body aching for the intimate connection they were about to share. And just as their lips were about to meet, a distant noise shattered the moment, a horn blaring, echoing through the valley. Suddenly, Rosie pulled back, her expression shifting from longing to alarm. "We must hurry," she breathed, urgency in her voice. Ben's heart sank. "What is it?" "Our people gather for the Festival of Light," she explained, her voice a mix of excitement and fear. "It is a time of bonding, but outsiders are not always welcomed, especially humans." "Then let's go," he said, resolve pooling within him. "Together." With that, hand in hand, they sprinted towards the gathering ahead, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Ben felt exhilarated by the impending connection. Even if there were obstacles ahead, they would navigate them together. Ben and Rosie arrived at the center of the village, just as dusk began to settle over Glee's Prime. The square was alive with vibrant lights and alien music resonating in rhythms that felt both foreign and enticing. Alien beings of varying hues danced gracefully, their bodies moving in unison like a fluid tapestry woven from stars. Rosie kept a firm grip on Ben's hand as they navigated through the throng of shimmering beings. "Stay close," she urged, her voice low but filled with excitement. As they approached the center of the gathering, the atmosphere became thick with anticipation. A large, glimmering stage rose from the ground, adorned with bioluminescent plants. The leader of the festival, a tall figure draped in flowing fabrics, began to speak, her voice echoing with authority and warmth. "The Festival of Light celebrates the bonds we create through touch and unity. Let us welcome our new friend." She gestured towards Ben, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. A wave of chatter and whispers rippled through the crowd, excitement mixing with skepticism. Ben felt the weight of their gaze, but he squared his shoulders, reminding himself of why he was here. "I'm honored to be here," he called out, trying to project confidence. Rosie leaned closer to him, her breath ghosting against his ear. "You must participate in the bonding ritual. It is the only way for them to accept you fully." The idea of a ritual sounded both thrilling and terrifying. "What does it entail?" he asked, his heart racing. "Touching is key," she replied, her eyes glinting with mischief. "You and I must demonstrate our bond publicly. It will show them our connection is real." Ben swallowed hard and nodded, feeling a mix of courage and apprehension. In that moment, he realized the depth of his feelings for Rosie. The connection they shared extended beyond mere attraction. It held the promise of something deeper. As the leader called for volunteers to join the ritual, Rosie moved to the front, pulling Ben along with her. His heart pounded as he faced the crowd, their curious expressions transforming into intrigue and enthusiasm. "Ben, I need you to trust me," Rosie whispered, her hands firmly clasping his. "This will bring us even closer." With a deep breath, he nodded. "I trust you." The leader invited them to the stage, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Ben's pulse raced as he stood beside Rosie, their fingers intertwined, radiating warmth and energy. As the ceremony began, Rosie turned to Ben, her expression serious, yet tender. "We will dance as partners, to show our unity," she explained. "Follow my lead, and let your heart guide you." And then, the music shifted. A hauntingly beautiful melody filled the air, reverberating through Ben's very being. Rosie began to sway, her movements fluid and enchanting. Mesmerized, Ben followed her lead, allowing the rhythm to wash over them. The crowd encircled them, clapping as they moved together, a synchronous blend of human and alien grace. With each step, Ben felt their connection strengthen. It was as if the world around them faded away. Even the initial tension dissipated under the warmth of their shared existence. As the dance intensified, Rosie stepped closer until their bodies nearly touched. A rush of emotions flooded over Ben, an undeniable craving that ignited his senses. He could feel her heartbeat syncing with his, each pulse urging him to draw her even closer. Rosie leaned in, her lips almost brushing against his ear. "Let them feel our bond." He locked eyes with her, the universe collapsing into the space between them. The music reached a crescendo, the crowd cheering louder, and in that moment of clarity, he leaned down, capturing her lips in a soft yet fervent kiss. The world exploded into fireworks of light and energy around them. Ben felt her warmth envelop him, igniting a fire of desire and longing that consumed his every thought. The kiss deepened, growing bolder as he craved more of her essence, her touch. Rosie responded, her hand sliding up to cradle his face, pulling him even nearer. Gasps and murmurs echoed from the crowd as they witnessed this intimate display, a rare connection unfolding that transcended their very beings. The sensation of her skin against his was electric. Every heartbeat amplified their desire. As they broke the kiss, Ben's breath came in ragged gasps, their foreheads resting against one another. He felt a rush of vulnerability and exhilaration, wanting nothing more than to explore the depths of their bond. Rosie smiled, her lips glistening as she whispered, "What did I tell you? Our touch ignites the stars." But just as the realization of their moment settled around them, a loud horn blasted from the outer perimeter, disrupting the celebration and causing a ripple of concern across the crowd. "We need to go," Rosie said urgently, her expression shifting back to worry. "This is not safe for us." "Wait, what's happening?" Ben asked, anxiety creeping into his chest as the joyous atmosphere quickly began to shift. "The Watchers." Rosie glanced around, her voice dropping low. "They do not approve of our connection. They fear outsiders." A mix of fear and adrenaline surged through Ben as the alien beings began to murmur and scatter. "We have to stick together," he urged, gripping her hand tightly as they lost themselves in the chaos. "Come," Rosie urged, pulling him away from the center as they raced towards the forest's edge, where the vibrant colors of the lagoon faded into the shadows of impending danger. Ben and Rosie sprinted towards the edge of the vibrant festival, the pulsating energy of the celebration fading behind them. Ben's heart raced, not just from the adrenaline of their escape, but from the connection they had just ignited. It felt monumental, yet the looming threat cast a shadow over their euphoric moment. "Rosie," he panted, desperately trying to understand the situation as they ducked behind a cluster of shimmering trees. "What are the Watchers? Why do they oppose us?" Rosie leaned against a tree, breathing heavily. Her shimmering skin glowed in the moonlight, but the worry etched in her features made her look more fragile than he ever imagined. "The Watchers are a council that governs our society. They are conservative and fear change. They believe that our bond with you could bring chaos to our world." Ben's mind raced. The connection they had was anything but chaotic. It was beautiful. "But it's real. What we have, it's genuine," he insisted, passion igniting within him. "We can show them that our relationship can be a bridge between our worlds, not a gap." Rosie's eyes softened, her fingers intertwining with his as she looked up at him. "You believe in us, even against all odds." "I do," he replied, sincerity flaring in his heart. "We can face this together." Just then, a sound echoed through the forest, a deep, resonant bark followed by a searchlight sweeping over the ground. Ben's stomach twisted in fear. "We have to move," he urged, pulling her along deeper into the trees. They ducked behind large, luminescent plants, the soft light concealing their presence as the search party moved closer. Ben could feel the tension tightening around them, a palpable blend of fear and determination. He had come here to connect, to explore the beauty of an alien culture, and now he found himself in the midst of resistance. "Why are they searching for us?" he asked as they crouched down, listening intently. "They want to ensure that I haven't betrayed our customs," she explained, a mix of frustration and sadness in her voice. "If they find us together, it will be seen as an act of defiance. Then we won't be found. Not today," Ben vowed, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. They needed to protect what they had begun, whatever it took. After a tense few moments of silence, the searchlights softened and faded into the distance. Ben and Rosie slowly emerged from their hiding spot, letting out a breath neither of them realized they had been holding. "Where do we go now?" Rosie asked, her eyes searching. He rubbed the back of his neck, trying to think. "Maybe we should head to the Lagoon of Light, the place where we shared our first moment together. It seems like a place of safety." Rosie smiled faintly, the thought bringing warmth to her features. "Yes, there we can be free to explore what we really are to one another." As they made their way back to the lagoon, the vibrant lights of the festival gleamed in the distance, but they chose the path through the thick foliage, determined to find solace in their connection. Once they arrived at the Lagoon of Light, the radiant colors illuminated the night, casting a soothing glow around them. The sound of gently lapping water added an ethereal quality to the atmosphere, reminiscent of the intimacy they had shared earlier. "We made it," Ben said, exhaling a sigh of relief. Rosie stepped forward, the light illuminating the intricacies of her face. Now we can truly explore what lies between us without fear. Ben could feel the tension between them shift as their eyes locked, the connection intensifying. "I've never felt anything like this before," he confessed, stepping closer. "You make me feel alive." "And you make me feel," she started, her voice faltering slightly. "You make me feel vulnerable yet strong at the same time. It's terrifying and exhilarating." In one fluid motion, she closed the gap between them, their bodies once again entwined in a magnetic pull. As he reached for her, brushing his fingers against her cheek, a soft sigh escaped her lips, and he felt himself drawn into her world. "Let us embrace what we crave," Rosie whispered, her voice a tender caress against the tension in his chest. "Feel what our bodies desire." With their hearts pounding in unison, they shared another kiss, this one deeper and more urgent than the last. The lagoon's light seemed to explode around them, vibrant colors swirling like starlight. The sensation of joy blended with a palpable desire, and all thoughts of external dangers faded away. As they kissed, Rosie pulled him closer, their bodies melting together. Ben's hands roamed over her beautiful curves, brushing against the cool shimmer of her skin. Every touch ignited a fire within him, the thrill of her alien form resonating with the warmth of a connection he never thought possible. "Ben," Rosie breathed against his lips, her voice trembling. "I want more. I need more." His heart raced, swept up in the intensity of their moment. "Then let's explore each other. Let's see where this leads." Ben cupped her cheek, feeling the heat radiating from her skin as he leaned in, tracing the contours of her body with a mix of reverence and desire. Rosie gasped, arching into his touch, her body responding instinctively to his caress. The world around them ceased to exist. All that mattered was the heat building between them. Ben gently laid Rosie back onto the soft grass by the lagoon, their kisses becoming more passionate and desperate. The shimmering light danced around them, reflecting the wild emotions surging within. In that magical space, devoid of judgment or fear, they began to fully surrender to their desires. Their hands explored, igniting a passion that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. Every touch told a story of longing, vulnerability, and a beautiful bond that defied the odds. As they became lost in each other's embrace, Ben realized that he was not just an outsider here. He was part of something glorious, something worth fighting for. As the heat of their passion subsided, Ben and Rosie lay entwined side by side on the verdant grass, the soft glow of the lagoon casting a tender light around them. The world felt both vast and intimate, cradling them in an embrace that transcended their differences. Their breaths synced as they reveled in the aftermath of their shared intimacy. Ben turned to Rosie, brushing a lock of silvery hair behind her ear. "I can't believe how beautifully surreal this all is," he murmured, his heart filled with warmth. Rosie smiled, her eyes sparkling like jewels. "Many in my world are afraid of such connections. They fear what they do not understand. But you have opened my heart." "Well, you've opened mine too," Ben replied, his pulse quickening with sincerity. "I never expected to find something like this in an alien world." Their intimate moment was abruptly broken by the resonant sound of a horn echoing through the clearing. Panic flickered in Rosie's gaze as she shot up. "The Watchers are searching for us. We must find a way to communicate with them before it's too late." The fear of losing what they had built surged in Ben's chest. "What can we do? How do we show them that our bond is real and valuable?" Rosie's expression hardened with resolve. "We must go to the Tower of Lights, where the Council gathers. It's a place where decisions are made, and there we may sway them to accept our bond." "Lead the way," he urged, scrambling to his feet. "We'll face this together." Rosie took his hand, merging her warmth with his own, and together they ran toward the tower nestled in the distance, luminescent tendrils swaying as they moved through the dense foliage. Though their hearts raced with fear, they were resolute in their determination to protect their connection. Upon reaching the Tower of Lights, Ben was struck by its grandeur, a spiraling structure adorned with bioluminescent flora, illuminating the night sky. Alien beings gathered around the entrance, their whispers heavy with curiosity and disapproval as they observed the two newcomers. As they approached, an authoritative figure emerged from the crowd, the leader from the festival. Her eyes hardened slightly upon seeing them together. "You dare enter as a pair?" she questioned, her voice laced with authority. Rosie stood tall, squeezing Ben's hand. "We come to demonstrate that our bond is pure. We wish for understanding, not fear. Our customs are steeped in tradition. A human and an alien together is a danger to our way of life," the leader stated, her gaze shifting to Ben, appraising him critically. "Danger," Ben challenged, stepping forward, fervor igniting within him. "What we have is anything but dangerous. We have something to teach each other, something that could unite our worlds instead of divide them." Whispers rippled through the crowd, and Ben could feel the weight of their skeptical gazes. "Rosie and I share a connection that is undeniable. I understand the fear that comes with the unknown, but isn't love worth embracing, no matter the differences? Isn't it what ultimately unites us all?" The leader paused, her expression wavering, conflicted. "This bond will face scrutiny. If you wish for acceptance among us, you must prove the strength of your connection through the trial of union." "What is that?" Rosie asked, concern flickering in her eyes. "It is a test of trust built upon the foundation of your relationship. Only when you pass will the council accept your union." "Then we will face it," Ben said, determination surging through him. "Whatever it takes." The leader nodded, stepping aside to allow them entry into the tower. "Proceed, but understand that failure would result in dire consequences." With Rosie beside him, Ben felt the pulse of their connection as they entered the tower's interior. It was an expansive space filled with glowing orbs floating above, casting an otherworldly glow around them. The air was thick with anticipation, and their linked hands felt like their lifeline. As they reached the center of the room, an ancient voice echoed through the chamber, resonating with authority. "To prove your love, you must confront your deepest fears. Only then will you be worthy of acceptance." A swirling mist enveloped them, disorienting Ben as he felt a sudden distance from Rosie. Panic bloomed in his chest. "Rosie, I am here, Ben." Her voice called out from the mist, soothing his unease. "We will face this together." Suddenly, Ben found himself standing alone in a different space, the mist dissipating to reveal an expanse filled with memories, his past failures, betrayals, and the lonely existence he had once known. Struggling, and against the tide of emotion, he felt a voice whispering doubt. "You will never belong anywhere," the phantoms of his insecurities echoed. "They will never accept you." But just as despair threatened to engulf him, he heard another voice cut through the darkness, Rosie's voice, guiding him. "You are not defined by your past, Ben. You are here, in this moment, with me. Your spirit is stronger than any fear within." At that, a sudden wave of clarity surged through him. He recalled their dance under the stars, the warmth of her body against his, and how alive he felt in her presence. "I am not afraid," he called out, feeling the mist start to dissolve, releasing him from the memories that haunted him. In an instant, the darkness vanished, and he was once again at Rosie's side. She looked radiant, relief washing over her face. "You faced your fears. I knew you could." "What about you?" he asked, gripping her hands tightly. "What do your fears look like?" Even as she spoke, the surrounding mist began to swirl around them again, forming into visions of her past, isolated moments in which she felt judged by her own people, weighed down by expectation, and the struggle of embracing her true self. Rosie's voice trembled as she shared her memories, a realization unfolding between them. "I fear being cast aside, losing a connection that means everything to me. I fear we are too different, and they will never understand." "That's what makes us extraordinary," Ben replied firmly, his heart swelling with the truth of their bond. "Together, we are better than we are apart. Our love is a bridge, not a barrier." As their voices melded, a brilliant light erupted around them, dispelling the mist and enveloping them in warmth. They stood united against the fears that once threatened to tear them apart. With the resonance of their joined spirits, The room filled with applause from the watchers, their faces reflecting newfound respect and understanding. The ancient voice spoke again, calmer this time. You have faced the trial of union and demonstrated the strength of your bond. The council has reached a consensus. We accept your union. Rosie's eyes glistened with tears of joy as Ben pulled her into an embrace. We did it, he exclaimed, his heart racing. As the council offered their acceptance, the energy around them shifted. No longer were they outsiders. They had carved a place in this world together. In that moment of clarity, Ben understood that love transcended boundaries. It embraced the beauty of differences, opening doors to a future filled with hope. Hand in hand, they stepped toward the unknown, ready to face whatever the universe would throw their way. Together. The atmosphere within the Tower of Lights was electric with excitement as Ben and Rosie stood before the Council of Aliens, their hands still linked tighter than ever. A new chapter had begun, not just for them, but for the entire relationship between humans and the Gliese Prime inhabitants. With the Council's acceptance, both sides engaged in lively discussions about future collaborations, shared knowledge, and the potential for unity among their species. This, to Ben, felt monumental. It was a chance for humanity to embrace the cosmos and learn from it. Rosie, by his side, radiated joy and pride, the shimmer of her skin contrasting beautifully against the luminescent backdrop. Together we can teach acceptance and understanding, Ben remarked to the council, his confidence growing in their presence. We can pave the way for new relationships that honor our differences. Rosie added, Love has the power to bridge divides. Let our union symbolize a new era of harmony. The leader nodded, her expression softening. Your bond serves as a beacon of hope to all on Gliese Prime. We will celebrate this unity, not only as an acceptance of love, but as a transformation of our culture. As the council continued to discuss the terms of this newfound unity, Ben caught Rosie's gaze. Time seemed to pause, and in that moment, he couldn't help but recall the first time they met, the apprehension that loomed over him, the magnetic pull that drew him to her. Now they stood as partners, connected not only by a shared love, but by a commitment to create a better future. In the following days, celebrations erupted across the alien world. Festivals filled with music, laughter, and dance brought humans and aliens together, showcasing both cultures. Ben and Rosie became the faces of this collaboration, often speaking about their journey, the challenges they had faced, and how transcending barriers had empowered them both. One evening, as they sat beside the lagoon of light, the stars twinkling brilliantly above, Rosie turned to him, her expression contemplative. They originally feared the unknown, but now they look at us as a symbol of what is possible. Love can change the world, Ben replied, his heart swelling with pride. Together, we can teach each side to embrace diversity and find strength in each other's differences. In that serene moment, they leaned closer, their foreheads resting against one another, the warmth of their souls intertwining. I never knew I could feel so deeply for someone from another world, Ben admitted softly. Rosie smiled, her eyes shimmering with emotion. Nor did I. You have opened my eyes to the beauty of vulnerability. With you, I found the courage to embrace who I truly am. Their lips met in a gentle kiss, a promise of love that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. It was a simple yet powerful reminder that love, pure and unwavering, could create pathways where none existed before. As the sun began to rise over the horizon, casting a golden hue across the lagoon, Ben and Rosie stood together, staring at the dawn of a new era. Hand in hand, they faced the future, ready to tackle whatever challenges that lay ahead. We will navigate our worlds as allies, Ben said, determination in his voice. And someday, perhaps people will tell our stories, tales of love that changed everything. Rosie nodded, her smile radiant, a love that transcended fear, strengthened through courage. Together, we can achieve so much more than we could alone. With hope blooming in their hearts, Ben and Rosie stepped into the light of the new day, prepared to embrace the adventure of a lifetime, together, filled with promise, understanding, and above all, love.